The HOA's last mistake. Recently, I had an experience no homeowner should ever go through. My property was raided by a group of fake HOA cops. What they didn't know was that my wife was CIA, and she already had backup in place. The pounding on the front door was so loud, it rattled the walls. I barely had time to look up from my coffee before the door swung open and two men in black tactical gear barged in like they owned the place. No badges, no introductions, just a snarl from the taller one. "Step aside. This property is in violation of HOA security regulations." I barely processed the words when I heard my wife scream from the porch. My blood ran cold. I rushed outside and saw them gripping her arms, dragging her down the steps. She didn't struggle, didn't panic. Instead, she gave me a look, the same expression she wore when cornered on an operation, right before turning the tables. "Put her down," I said, my voice low and steady. The shorter guy, the one with the smug look, chuckled. "Oh, look, a tough guy? Your wife resisted an official HOA security order. She's coming with us for questioning." "Questioning?" I repeated, stepping closer. "By who?" The taller one scoffed. "You'll find out soon enough." That was their last mistake. Before I could blink, my wife twisted her wrist, breaking free from their grip. One quick strike to the throat sent the shorter guy gasping to the ground. The taller one barely had time to react before she had his arm pinned behind his back, forcing him to his knees. That's when the sirens blared. Black SUVs skidded to a stop in front of our house. Doors flew open, and real federal agents poured out, weapons drawn. The fake HOA cops barely had time to process what was happening before they were swarmed. "You idiots picked the wrong house," I muttered as my wife adjusted her jacket, giving me a small smirk. Took them long enough. The so-called HOA security team was now on their knees, cuffed, and completely silent. That's when I noticed Jessica, the head of our HOA, standing at the end of the driveway, her face as pale as a ghost. She thought she could get away with this. She had no idea how deep she'd screwed herself. Jessica took a shaky step back, her face twisted in confusion and fear. This wasn't how it was supposed to go. She probably expected us to plead, to comply, to be terrified when her so-called HOA security dragged my wife away. But now, those same men were on their knees, surrounded by real federal agents, and she was the only one left standing. My wife turned to the nearest agent, a tall, no-nonsense guy in a dark suit. "Run their IDs," she ordered. "Check for prior warrants. Find out who authorized this operation." The agent nodded and got to work. I could see the fear in the fake cops' eyes now. Whatever scheme they thought they were pulling had just crumbled. I turned my attention to Jessica. "You want to explain this?" I asked, my voice calm but sharp. She stiffened, trying to regain her composure. "Two was just enforcing HOA regulations." I raised an eyebrow. "By hiring fake law enforcement to kidnap my wife." She scoffed, crossing her arms. "They're not fake. They're private security," and she refused to comply with an HOA order. My wife let out a short laugh, shaking her head. "You have no idea what you've done, do you?" Jessica's mouth opened and closed. She was searching for a way out, for an excuse, but the situation was already spiraling beyond her control. One of the agents checked a tablet and looked up. "These two aren't registered security personnel. No licenses, no permits. Just a couple of guys with fake IDs and an outstanding warrant in another state." Jessica's face drained of color. "Oh," I said, pretending to be surprised. "So you just had criminals and gave them authority over the neighborhood?" She took another step back. "Two didn't know." "You should have checked," my wife replied coldly. "But it's too late for that now." Before Jessica could respond, the agent in charge spoke up. "Ma'am," he said, turning to my wife, "we'll take it from here. Do you want to press charges?" Jessica snapped her head toward him. "Charges? I was just following HOA protocol." My wife smirked. "Then I hope you have a good lawyer." That's when the agent pulled out his radio. "Take them all in. Let's see how deep this goes." As the fake cops were hauled to their feet and shoved into the SUVs, Jessica's panic hit full force. She spun toward me, her voice shrill. "You can't do this. You can't just..." I cut her off with a smile. "Oh, Jessica, you're about to find out just how much I can do." Jessica was still sputtering when the agents led her away, but I wasn't done yet. As the SUVs pulled out, I turned to my wife. "How deep do you think this goes?" She glanced at her phone, checking an incoming message. Deep, she muttered. Jessica's been playing dirty for a long time. That wasn't just some scare tactic. She was trying to make someone disappear. A slow anger burned in my chest. She thought she could get away with it? My wife nodded. Well, she's not the only one in trouble. I had my contacts run a background check on Grandway, the corporation backing Jessica's every shady decision. If they were involved in this, it meant this wasn't just about a power-hungry woman throwing her weight around. What did you find? I asked. She turned the phone toward me. Illegal property seizures. Fraudulent fines. Bribery. They don't just enforce HOA rules. They use them as a weapon to steal homes. I exhaled sharply. And they've been getting away with it because no one fights back. My wife smiled, cold and calculating. Then let's fight back. I chuckled. What do you have in mind? She typed something on her phone, then showed me an email. I just sent this to Metrolink's legal team. My eyebrows lifted. Metrolink. The real estate firm, she nodded. They've been looking for a case to go after Grandway for years. All they needed was proof of illegal activity. I took a moment to absorb what she was saying. Jessica had run her little HOA dictatorship like she was untouchable, but she didn't realize she wasn't at the top of the food chain. Now, she was about to get eaten alive. I grinned. I hope Jessica enjoys her last few hours of freedom. The fallout started faster than I expected. The very next morning, a fleet of black sedans rolled into the neighborhood Metrolink's legal team, moving in like a pack of wolves. Jessica wasn't home, but the HOA board was, and they had no idea what was about to hit them. I watched from my porch as a tall man in a navy suit stepped out, adjusting his cufflinks like he was about to walk into a courtroom. Behind him, a dozen lawyers followed, briefcases in hand. The HOA president, a nervous-looking man named Greg, rushed outside, his face already pale. Can I help you?" he asked. The lawyer didn't waste time. "Mr. Calloway, you're the acting president of this HOA, correct?" Greg swallowed. "Why, yes. You are hereby served." The lawyer handed him a thick stack of documents. Metrolink Real Estate is filing an injunction against Grandway and this HOA for fraudulent property seizures, illegal fines, and conspiracy to commit real estate fraud. Greg's jaw dropped. "Wait, what? This is a mistake. We just follow Grandway's policies." "Then you might want to contact your lawyer," the lawyer interrupted smoothly. "Because if you don't, you'll be facing individual liability as well." Greg nearly collapsed on the spot. I took a sip of my coffee, enjoying the show. But the best part? Jessica had no idea she'd spent the night in custody, getting grilled over the fake cops and her HOA's shady practices. The moment she stepped back into this neighborhood, she'd be walking straight into a legal minefield. And I couldn't wait to see her reaction. Jessica stormed back into the neighborhood like she still owned it, her heels clicking against the pavement with the same arrogance as always. But this time, something was different. The moment she stepped onto HOA property, she froze. The legal team was still there, documents in hand, while Greg sat on the curb, head in his hands, looking like he had aged 10 years overnight. Jessica's eyes darted from Greg to the suited man in front of him. "What the hell is going on here?" she demanded. The lawyer barely looked up. "LMS. Patterson." Perfect timing. He pulled out another stack of papers. "Consider yourself served." She blinked, then let out a short, nervous laugh. "Excuse me. You're being named in a federal lawsuit," he continued smoothly. "Fraud, conspiracy, extortion. Oh, and the impersonation of law enforcement. That one's especially serious." The color drained from Jessica's face. "This is ridiculous. You can't." "We can," the lawyer interrupted. "And we already have. Metrolink's legal team has been building a case against Grandway for years. You just gave them everything they needed to bring it to court." Jessica turned to Greg, her voice shrill. "You let them do this?" Greg just shook his head, looking utterly defeated. "Jessica," he whispered, "how?" "We're screwed," she snapped. "You're screwed." The lawyer smirked. "Oh, but you do. Your name appears on every fraudulent fine, every illegal property seizure, and every fabricated complaint Grandway pushed through this HOA. You didn't just enforce the rules, you made them." Jessica stumbled back a step. "I'll fight this," she snapped. "You're welcome to try." He nodded toward a squad car pulling up to the curb. "But first, the state would like to have a word with you about that little stunt with the fake cops." The officers stepped out, hands on their belts, ready to escort her away. I leaned against my porch railing, watching the scene unfold. Jessica turned, eyes locking onto me, pure hatred burning behind them. "You," she hissed. I took another sip of my coffee. "Morning, Jessica." She lunged forward like she wanted to strangle me, but the officers grabbed her arms before she could take another step. "Ms. Patterson, you're under arrest." The click of handcuffs was the sweetest sound I'd ever heard. As the officers secured the cuffs around Jessica's wrists, she thrashed wildly. "This is a mistake. You can't do this to me. I am the HOA." One of the officers, a middle-aged man with a bored expression, let out a sigh. "Ma'am, you hired fake cops to remove someone from their own property. That's a felony. You're lucky this isn't a federal case yet." Jessica's gaze snapped toward me again, venom dripping from every word. "You set me up? This is your doing." I just smiled. "Oh, Jessica, you did this to yourself." The HOA board stood in stunned silence. Greg looked like he wanted to disappear into the pavement, while the remaining board members exchanged panicked glances. They knew their empire was crumbling, and they knew exactly who to blame. Just then, another set of cars pulled up. This time, they weren't law enforcement. It was Metrolink's senior executives. A woman in a dark blue power suit stepped out, sunglasses hiding her expression. But the moment she spoke, her voice carried the weight of a wrecking ball. "Ms. Patterson," she said, "on behalf of Metrolink Real Estate, I'd like to thank you." Jessica stared in confusion. "For making our job so easy," the woman smirked. One of her assistants stepped forward, handing out folders to the HOA board. "These are Metrolink's new property acquisition contracts. As of this morning, Grandway has begun divesting from this neighborhood due to ongoing legal troubles. That means Metrolink now has full rights to negotiate with every homeowner directly." Greg's face turned ghostly white. "But Grandway owns all the infrastructure," he protested. "They did," the woman corrected. "But thanks to a little strategic maneuvering, we've secured an option to purchase. I think you'll find our terms far more agreeable than Grandway's." Jessica's mouth opened and closed like a fish gasping for air. Metrolink had just crushed the HOA in one move. As the reality set in, I leaned forward just enough for Jessica to hear me. "Funny thing, Jessica," I murmured. "You could have left me alone, but you forced my hand. And now, I own you." Her eyes widened, her body trembling with rage. But there was nothing left to say, because in that moment, Jessica Patterson, self-proclaimed queen of the HOA, finally realized she had lost everything.